Hey everybody, it's Sharmel. Welcome back to Locs Lifestyle. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about maintaining your locks at home versus seeing a loctician. So let's get into today's video.
As the sun shines in all of my glory, my flaws don't look so bad at all. What was I so afraid of?
Guys, so I am currently 9 months into my lock journey. For the most part, I have maintained my locks at home, but I have went to see a loctician one time. So I'm just going to be giving some of my thoughts and opinions, pros and cons with maintaining your locks at home versus seeing a loctician. So obviously, you know, if you want to go to the hair shop to get your hair done, go to the hair shop to get your hair done. But I don't think that it is absolutely necessary. So prior to starting my locks, I had zero experience with locks. I've been relaxed, I've been natural. I've had like short relaxed pixies. I've had, you know, a short TWA from when I big chopped. And I can honestly say, without having any type of background or history with locks, my locks have been one of the easiest ways to maintain my hair. I've had a lot of growth with it. And it's probably the healthiest my hair has ever been. So I broke this video down into 5 talking points. So we're going to talk about pricing, starter locks, daily maintenance, retwisting, and then specialty services. So I'll start with cost and pricing. Obviously, maintaining your locks at home is always going to be the most cost efficient. So when it comes to buying products for your hair, honestly, it's always recommended that you don't use a lot of products in your hair. So I mainly just buy oils and either rose water or aloe vera juice. But in general, these products may cost anywhere from like $7 to $15 each, but they last for months.
Jumping in with a quick voiceover, I just wanted to reiterate that I am speaking on lock specific products. Obviously, you'll need shampoo and conditioner, but those are things you need for your hair in general. But when it comes to locks specifically, you really only need like oil and water. I have purchased like other lock products that I have shown here on my channel, but they are not absolutely necessary.
Now, when it comes to seeing a loctician, obviously prices are going to vary depending on your location, and then also keep in mind that prices will also vary depending on like how many locks you have, the length of your locks, the density, thickness of your hair, and stuff like that. So for my research, based on like the locticians in my area, you can pay anywhere from like $75 to $125 for one visit to the hair shop. And like when I went, I think I paid like around 90 something, and that included a wash, a retwist, and a style. So for me personally, you know, $100 every other month, I feel like it's something you can budget into your expenses if you do want to go to a loctician, especially coming from someone who used to wear wigs and weaves, and you know, wigs on their own can be like $300 or something. Then you still have to pay to get it installed, and you know, braids can be expensive. So overall, I think that, you know, if you do choose to see a loctician, if you're not comfortable with doing your hair, it's not something that will break your budget. Alright, so now we're going to move on to starter locks. So I did start my starter locks myself. So as far as pros go, I started with 2-strand twist, which was fairly simple. If you know how to do a regular twist, then you know how to start your own starter locks. Doing your starter locks at home does require a little bit of patience, but overall the process was pretty easy. Now, when it comes to the cons of starting your locks at home, if you are someone who's like a real stickler about like your parts and your grit, then that could potentially be a con. You know, my parts aren't all the way perfect. Like there's some areas that are like super sharp, but you know, I feel like around this part in the middle of my head, my parts get a little crazy. I don't mind it. I kind of like the freestyleness of the parts. I don't need my parts to be super straight. But if you are someone who is really like a stickler about having like really precise parting, that could be a potential issue. Another con when it comes to doing your starter locks at home. So this is an issue that I ran into. It took me probably about a course of a week to do my initial locks because of this. So when you do your starter lock, one of the main things is that you want to make sure that all of your twists are going in the same direction. I messed up about that, so some of my twists were going to the right and some of my twists are going to the left, and this can cause issues down the road when it comes to retwisting. You want to make sure you're always retwisting in the same direction so that your hair locks properly. And so when I did my initial install, I definitely had to go back and redo some because they were twisted the wrong way. So that is something that you have to be mindful of if you do decide to do your starter locks at home. Now, when it comes to going to a loctician, honestly, I didn't do much research about going to a loctician for starter locks because I knew that when I started my lock journey that I was going to do it myself. So I didn't really research like the pricing that it costs for seeing a loctician. But if you are really anal and you want really neat parts, or if you want like diamond parts or triangle parts, I would absolutely recommend going to a loctician, because when it comes to like your foundation, when it comes to your grid, that's something that you can't change down the road. So if you do it, if you start your locks at home and your parts aren't perfect, you have to remember that your parts are going to be like that for the rest of your journey. So yes, I would definitely recommend going to a loctician for that. Also, if you want to get your sizing right, that was another thing that I kind of struggled with when starting my locks at home. Even now, as my locks mature more, there are definitely locks that I know are going to be a lot thicker than others, just because everything is not super uniformed and the same. I don't mind that, but if you do want a more uniformed look, if you want to make sure that your sizing and your parts and everything are uniformed, go to a loctician. Now, the cons that I feel like when it comes to going to a loctician for your starter locks is that within like the first week or two of installing my starter locks, my roots started to get frizzy, my hair started to get frizzy. Now, frizz is definitely a big part of your lock journey, especially in the beginning phases, so it's something that you'll learn to get used to. But if you're spending money to go to a loctician to do your locks and then like in a week later your hair is frizzy, that could be a potential con. Regardless if you go to a loctician or if you do your locks at home, your hair is gonna get frizzy fairly soon. For me, that was another reason why I chose to start mine at home, is because I didn't want to spend money and then like a week later I had just a bunch of frizz on my head. So again, it's all about preference. But when it comes to starting your starter locks, if you like freestyle parting, go ahead and do it yourself. If you like a more angular, clean parting, go to a loctician. Now we're going to move on to daily and regular maintenance. So regardless of if you go to a loctician or not, you're going to have to do daily like hydrating and oiling to your locks to make sure that your hair is not drying out. When it comes to like washing it, this is definitely something that I feel like you absolutely can do at home. I'm sure people do go to the loctician to just get their hair washed and stuff, but I don't feel like it's absolutely necessary. Washing your hair is always going to be a chore to me. However, washing my hair is literally one of the easiest things ever. Like, when you're a loose natural, wash days can be a headache because, you have to detangle. You have to sometimes pre-poo, you have to wash it, then you have to condition it, then you have to deep condition it, then you have to detangle it again, then you have to blow dry it, or doing whatever you want to do. It could just be a long drawn out process. But washing my hair now is literally the easiest thing ever. There are going to be times that you do have to have a little more patience, just because you want to make sure that you're rinsing your hair properly and rinsing all the product out completely. But the actual process is so easy. You don't have to deal with like shedding and stuff. Like, I love washing my hair now. Like, washing my hair is like the easiest thing ever. So again, for the most part, I have done all of my retwists. I did go to a loctician once and have her do it. So if you don't have a history with doing locks, there's obviously going to be a learning curve. However, retwisting is definitely something you can do at home. You can do it yourself. It's not a real meticulous process of doing. Again, like I said, there will be a learning curve just because you have to get familiar with your hair in its current state, but it is something that gets more and more easier the more that you do it. The first time I retwisted my hair, I feel like it took me like 2 to 3 hours to do, just because again, I was getting used to the process. I was being really anal about trying to keep my parts super straight. But now that I'm 9 months in, I did a retwist not too long ago, and that probably took me like an hour to do. At this point, again, I'm very familiar with my grid. I'm very familiar with how my parts are, and I don't really stress too much about getting my parts too straight, and then like the more that your hair starts to form, you really only have to worry about retwisting the roots of your hair, and yeah, you're pretty much good to go. So if you want to go to a shop to get your hair retwisted, obviously you can, but it is something that you can learn to do at home yourself. Now, like I said, I have gone to a loctician to get my hair retwisted. The thing that I like about getting my hair retwisted at the shop is that, first of all, I just love other people washing my hair. So like just the whole process of her washing and conditioning my hair felt really good. Just having somebody else do it. She did my retwist really fast, like the retwisting part. And then another thing about going to the shop is that most of the time they have the full equipment. I don't have a hooded dryer at home, and so like my drying process sometimes can take a little longer too. But that's another pro of going to the hair shop, is that a lot of times they have like all of the equipment that you need. Drying is an important factor in doing a retwist because, you know, you want it to set properly. You have to make sure that it's dry properly and it's dry completely before like removing the clips. So that is one thing I can say about getting my hair retwisted at the shop. And so then the last thing I'm going to talk about is like specialty services, so like styling, and then like chemical treatments such as like coloring your locks or bleaching your locks. So I'll start with styling. So I feel like styling is another one of those things where it's learnable. Like, again, there's going to be a learning curve. So I have a background with like braiding and, you know, doing weaves and stuff like that. So I feel like styling my hair, my locks came very easily, like when it came to doing like barrel twists or like braiding my locks down or, you know, updo styles. I feel like that came very naturally to me just because it's something that I've done. But I still have like a lot of different like more intricate styles saved in my phone that I want to take to the shop when I do decide to go to the shop and get my hair done again, because I'm not as confident in my ability to do them. So you can absolutely practice styling your hair at home, but I think like if you want a certain style for like a specific occasion or something, I would definitely recommend going to the loctician so that it could be neat and that you can get it done how you want it. When it comes to like using chemicals on your hair such as like bleach or color, I have colored my locks 3 times now while I've been on this lock journey. And so in general, I definitely recommend going to see a loctician when it comes to using chemicals on your hair. I use box dye every time, but I have not ever touched my hair ever in my life with just like straight up bleaching powder and developer. I see a lot of people doing it, but I personally don't trust myself enough to do it. I'm sure I probably could, but I don't trust myself enough to do it. I always just recommend going to a professional when it comes to like using harsh chemicals such as like bleach or something. I mess around with the box dyes just because they are like less concentrated versions and they're a little more controlled. So I think box dyes are okay, but if you want like a really like vibrant color, bleach is not something that I personally want to kind of play with willy-nilly on my hair. Just because it is a strong chemical and it has the potential to do major damage. So it's not something that I want to experiment with. The box dyes, I'll play around with a little bit, but like bleach, I'll leave for a professional. So yeah, I think I covered everything that I could think of when it comes to like maintaining your locks at home versus seeing a professional. I personally enjoy maintaining my locks at home just because it just allows me to become more familiar with my hair. It allows me to be more comfortable with my hair. So for that reason alone, I definitely like maintaining my locks at home. I've kind of come to the conclusion that I'm pretty much going to maintain my locks at home, but I do want to go to the shop every now and then just because, for one, I just enjoy having somebody else do my hair sometimes. And also, you know, going to a loctician, sometimes they're able to see parts of your hair that you're not able to see, and, you know, just get a second opinion just to ensure that your hair is in good condition and healthy. So yes, that is it for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them down in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Snatched by Sharmel, and I'll see you all in my next video.